Homelessness is more visible than ever in Seattle.
Meanwhile, the number of people living on the streets has continued to climb.
After McDonald collapses, prosecutors say Van Dyke kept firing 16 bullets in 15 seconds.
Hurricane Matthew was a Category 4, a massive amount of rain. Rivers of mud filling the streets, people trying to get to higher ground.
Just as the school day was ending, the shooting started.
Let's pause for a moment and just take a few seconds to process what we're viewing. Let's ask ourselves, what effect is this having on us? For decades, news channels have been playing negative stories on what seems like a never-ending loop. News channels will typically cover a story that evokes negative emotions, release it to the public, and rarely resolve it, simply moving on to the next big thing. And granted, that is part of the definition of the news, but it might be beneficial to balance the positive and negative stories, or at least show the recovery from the tragedies. The same negativity forever cycling through channel after channel. Like, when is the last time you've heard of Zika virus, Hurricane Harvey's aftermath, or even ISIS? This perpetual cycle of story after story depicting the world as a horrifying shithole quite frankly fuels the fire of depression and anxiety that's ravaging the world today. Rather, I should say it typically worsens depression and anxiety, but it can also induce it. A study conducted by the Social Psychology Department at the University of Potsdam, Germany, found that the more time individuals spent watching violent media depictions, the less responsive they became to its stimuli. And that's precisely what's happening in the world today. The Columbine shooting is considered by many to be the first mass shooting of the modern day. I mean, there were a few scattered among the 50s to 70s, but nothing to the degree of Columbine. But that's kind of beside the point. The point is that when the news first broadcasted the incident, people were horrified, they were shocked, even revolted. However, when you look at the news some 18 years later, it seems like a new shooting is occurring every other week, like Sandy Hook, Pulse Nightclub, or the Harvest Music Festival, just to name a few. These petrifying events, among many others, are such a regular occurrence that for most people, there's no shock anymore. Harshly put, it's just another shooting, and shootings have become so desensitized that when one occurs, many channels will focus more on the politics surrounding the event, rather than grieving or showing remorse for the victims. But who cares? Today, the media is far more than just the news. It's a broad spectrum of technology ranging from video games to social media, even movies or YouTube. And to fully understand the effects of the media, we have to dive deep into the rabbit hole of the internet. Last year, 80% of internet consumers reportedly used social media, averaging about 135 minutes every day. And much like the news, social media can lead to depression and anxiety, but in different ways. A multitude of studies were done at the University of Innsbruck in Austria. In short, one study shows that the longer people are active on Facebook, the more negative their mood is afterwards. The second study proves for this effect by showing that Facebook activity leads to a deterioration of mood as compared to two different control conditions. Furthermore, it was demonstrated that this effect is due to a feeling of not having done anything meaningful. But if social media makes people feel bad, then why continue to use it? We'll take a platform like Instagram, for instance. It's similar to Facebook, and it provides users with an experience using likes, comments, following, etc. And each time you interact with it, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine, which is commonly referred to as the reward molecule. And it can be released by many things, such as exercise, completing tasks, physical attraction, or smoking. And without dopamine, we wouldn't do too much in life. We'd feel really no reason to do anything at all. But when dopamine is easily accessible, such as by the tap of a like button, it can become addictive and disillusioning. People will begin to connect dopamine's effects with Instagram, as previously mentioned, which then leads to that feeling of sadness after doing nothing meaningful. social media isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it can connect you with loved ones from afar. It can connect communities who might not be otherwise. And well, there's also memes. So social media by itself isn't harmful. It just depends on how and why you use it. And well, for most of us, we might just be better off to simply unplug.